It's my great pleasure as Chair of the Board of Governors to welcome you all to this special prize-giving event, which this year coincides with the end of term and the beginning of the Christmas holiday. Normally, we gather together for our traditional Speech Day celebrations in the grandeur of Liverpool's Philharmonic Hall, but as with so much else, this year is different. So for the first time, prize-giving is taking place remotely, which I hope means that more members of our wider school community will be able to watch it online and join in celebrating the achievements of those who have won awards. It also gives me a unique opportunity to speak to everyone who is involved with each of our three schools and to say thank you on behalf of the Board of Governors for everything you've done during what has proved to be a most challenging year. But first of all, let me congratulate everybody who has won a prize or has received an award. I never won a prize when I was at school, so I'm actually rather jealous. And I warmly applaud your outstanding achievement, whether that is in your academic studies, or by your involvement in sports, or music, or drama, or with the CCF, or through the very many other ways in which each of you has contributed so magnificently to the life of our schools. Well done, and congratulations on receiving your award. I hope you feel justifiably proud of what you have achieved. Next, as I've said, I want to express my sincere thanks and those of the entire Board of Governors to everyone who has worked so hard and so diligently to ensure that our schools have not only continued to function since we went into lockdown in March, but have been able to flourish and prosper in the face of enormously challenging circumstances. Our primary objective at Merchant Taylors is, and always must be, to ensure that every one of our pupils receives the best possible and most rewarding education that we can provide. It's not to overstate matters to say that when we went into lockdown earlier this year, day-to-day life as we knew and expected it to be in our schools was turned upside down at very short notice and with no idea of how long the disruption would continue. The way in which everyone involved has responded has been remarkable. First and foremost, I want to pay tribute to our amazing pupils. From our youngest boys and girls who started at the newly amalgamated Stanfield in the summer, to our young adults in the upper sixth who have completed or are about to sit their A-levels at our senior schools, and of course to everyone in between. The way in which each of you has responded to the challenges you have faced and has adapted to the changes in the way in which your education has been delivered has been simply amazing. It was very strange for me to walk around empty school buildings when you were all required to stay at home, but it was wonderful to see and hear the buzz of excitement when you were all back in school after the summer holiday. Your resilience and ability to bounce back has been truly remarkable. And that brings me to our parents and guardians and the families of all our children. Thank you for your support, your generosity, on occasion your patience and forbearance, and for the trust you continue to place in Merchant Taylors by allowing us to educate your children. None of us, I imagine, has previously experienced the sort of challenges with which you had to cope over the last 9 months. Hopefully, we will be able to return to something approaching normality within the foreseeable future, and thank heavens for that. Next, I want to say a huge thank you to all of our staff, to each of our head teachers and their senior management teams, to every member of our excellent teaching staff, to our Director of Finance and Operations, and to every member of our professional services and support staff. Without your hard work and loyalty and commitment, our schools simply would not continue to operate. On behalf of the Board of Governors, I wish to state publicly how much your contribution is appreciated. Sadly, there are far too many names for me to mention of all those who have left the school over the last year, whether because of retirement or voluntary redundancy or simply to go elsewhere. I am very grateful to you all. One of the most remarkable features is for how many years some of you have worked at the school. I hope and believe that speaks loudly of the sense of community that exists at Merchant Taylors. Of course, times change, and we must all change and adapt with them. But since I have assumed responsibility as Chair of the Board of Governors, I've been particularly impressed and reassured by the fact that every member of our staff shares and embraces the same common objective to which I referred a few minutes ago, to ensure in their different ways and in their different roles that every one of our pupils receives the best possible and most rewarding education that we can deliver. Finally, I want to pay tribute to my predecessor as Chair of the Board of Governors, Mrs. Beverly Bell. Many of you will know just how hard she worked, both for and behalf of the school, for a number of years. Initially as a governor and then as Chair of the Board of Governors, much of what Beverly did went unnoticed and sometimes unacknowledged and often entirely unappreciated. But we do owe her a huge debt of gratitude for everything she did for the school. Thank you, Beverly. We are very grateful. Two of our other governors, Mr. John Cartwright and Dr. Jenny Fox, have recently or are about to step down from the board after a number of years of loyal service. I am equally grateful to both of them for all that they have done for the school. We now have 4 new governors, Professor Joe Howe, Mr. Simon Fowler and Mr. Chris Green, each of whom is a parent or guardian of a pupil at one of our schools, and also Mr. Stephen Gregory. Each of them brings considerable expertise and obvious enthusiasm to complement and further rejuvenate the Board of Governors, which is currently undergoing a major review of what we do and how we operate, to assist us to formulate ambitious and transparent goals and objectives for our schools, and to enable us to provide consistent and appropriate support for our executive management team. There is much that we have planned together, and I shall look forward to consulting with you and sharing those plans over the coming year. Although many of the events planned to mark our 400th anniversary had to be put on hold during 2020, we remain optimistic that they will take place in 2021, by which time, hopefully, we shall all be able to meet up again in person to celebrate everything that is excellent about Merchant Taylors' School. So I conclude with my sincere congratulations again to all those whose achievements we are celebrating today. However you choose to celebrate the holiday ahead, on behalf of the Board of Governors, I wish you all a very joyous and peaceful and hopefully a restful time. Thank you.
A very warm welcome to girls, staff, parents, governors and friends of the school on the occasion of our first virtual speech day to celebrate the achievements of the girls and the whole school community. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times, it was the age of wisdom, it was the age of foolishness. This is the opening of A Tale of Two Cities, which seems very apt given the circumstances that we all find ourselves in over the last academic year. 2020 has most certainly been a year that many of us will never forget in our lifetimes, and some might say, nor should we. As the pandemic has unfolded globally, it has revealed human vulnerabilities, showcased the importance of good leadership and well-functioning health and social care systems. The lessons we have collectively learnt and continue to learn from this crisis will go on to shape the way the adults and younger generation, our pupils, are able to live their lives going forward. In coping with the crisis that COVID-19 virus has thrust upon us, we've had the opportunity to rediscover the basic values of humanity and the bonds that connect us to each other. As such, we now have it in our hands to lay the right foundations for the future to ensure that we retire old views and ways of doing things and give way to a fresh start. We began the year full of hope and opportunity. Merchant Taylors Crosby are celebrating 400 years as a school, and as such, it's something to celebrate. Remarkably, the first prize giving for the girls' school was held in 1889, and this was the first and only year that it has taken place on the school site. It is therefore fitting that in such a significant year, we find ourselves for only the second time in our history hosting the same function at school again. Looking back on where we have come from to where we find ourselves now, there is indeed much to praise. MTGS and its community has shown how much it can adapt and deal with the uncertainty, whilst always keeping the long-term welfare and development of our pupils at the centre of what we do. Today, we now have a much better understanding how the use of ICT can support teaching and learning, and we have a more consistent, coherent and balanced approach to our delivery of lessons in school and at home as a result of this. Remote learning has allowed many pupils to develop as independent learners, and they are also more prepared to take risks and find solutions for themselves. Both the staff and the pupils alike have had to upskill themselves in a myriad of ways to get themselves up to speed with technology and have learnt how to use different platforms to communicate and engage with each other. I have been astounded by the levels of innovation, creativity and lateral thinking that have shaped the academic and co-curricular that your girls have largely enjoyed. The alumni, who we are always immensely grateful to, have delivered careers talks, mentored girls and given lectures and talks on many fascinating topics. We have forged even stronger links with our local community, writing to the elderly who are residing in care homes, contributing to the local food banks and supporting local families who are fighting just to survive each day. As a school, we have become more environmentally friendly. Virtual events and meetings do mean that we have been able to reduce our carbon emissions, and we are moving towards becoming a paperless school. Girls, all of you should be very proud of what you have achieved this year. You are sometimes known as Generation Snowflake. From where I am standing, this could be not further from the truth. You are all remarkable, resourceful, and resilient. More has been asked of you now, and more has been taken from you as a generation than many generations that have gone before you. I recently interviewed a young Year 6 girl for a place at school, and she made the very apt link that the challenges that she is now facing are very similar to those encountered by the evacuees in World War II. Limited contact with friends and families, a sense of isolation, and that there is no clear end in sight. I have no doubt that you will go on to be a generation that is regarded as extraordinary and powerful. The class of 2020, in particular, missed out on so many rites of passage at the end of their time at Merchant Taylors Girls' School following the announcement that the summer exam season was cancelled. However, I would like to pay tribute to the way that Year 13 handled this. They did not walk away. They continued to be part of the school community. They put on assemblies, they compiled numerous motivational TikTok videos to encourage the younger girls. They ran virtual extracurricular clubs, and they mentored students who needed some support at home. A pupil who attended MTGS when Miss Shackleton was headmistress in the early 1900s refers to a fellow old girl as embodying the attributes which our teachers strove to develop in us: a lively mind, a giver of service to others, a cheerful spirit, independence and practicality. Girls, despite being 100 years down the line, you continue to demonstrate the same values. There is also another pupil I would like to mention at this point, Freya Kelly, who sadly lost her battle against cancer earlier this year, just after her 13th birthday. She joined the Merchant families initially at Stanfield. Those of you who have spent time with her at both schools were the luckiest of us all, as you felt her warmth, shared her zest for life, and experienced her kind heart and caring approach to everyone. Freya was a quiet, thoughtful girl who listened quietly to others and always took her time to consider what she wanted to say or do. She was a talented athlete, gymnast, swimmer, and loved all aspects of sport at school. She also found great joy in music and played the piano and violin to a high standard. Her love for animals and the sciences, particularly biology, inspired her to want to follow a career as a vet. Throughout her life, but more so in the months following her diagnosis, Freya showed great resilience, a deep inner strength and strong willpower to overcome anything set before her. Sadly, in March 2020, Freya lost her battle with cancer and passed away peacefully. Freya is very sadly missed, but she will always be fondly remembered by all of us at school. I would now like to take this opportunity to say a huge and heartfelt thank you to all our wonderful staff who every day make a vital and real difference to the lives of the girls within the school. You have been unflagging and unselfish in the way that you have channeled your energies to put the pupils at the centre of everything you do. Your passion, commitment, and drive to inspire the girls is something we should be very proud of and grateful for. It has been a very difficult year for you, but you have been unstinting in your dedication to the girls and in your commitment to provide the best possible education for them. Michael Mapergo, the former Children's Laureate, said, "So often, and for so many of us, it is a teacher who has changed our lives, was at our side through hard and difficult times, who lifted us up when we were down, helped us to find our voice, gave us a confidence when we needed it most, set us on a path that we have followed ever since." Many of us go into teaching to do just so that. It would be fitting to follow this by saying a fond farewell to those members of staff who left us during the last academic year. Collectively, they have amassed 290 years of service between them. Whilst I will mention who they are here, I really want to pay a fitting tribute to their service and dedication to the school and to the large number of girls who have been entrusted to them. Like Year 13, they too missed out on the rites of passage that come with retirement and from leaving one's job. For this reason, we have compiled a separate video for you to watch after the virtual speech day, in which girls and members of staff share their memories of those staff. My sincere thanks go to Marie Bush, Yvonne Worley, Angela Wadsworth, Monica Myrin, Jackie Johnson, Brian Wilson, Mick Gill, John Power, Emily McWatt, Lynn Wynne, Olivia Darker-Sutcliffe, and Laura Hearn. In addition to the staff, I would also like to thank Miss Beverly Bell, previous Chair of Governors, who also retired from her duties in the summer term after 4 years in the post, but after 49 years of being associated with the school, firstly as a young girl and then more latterly as a governor. Our sincere thanks go to you as well. Finally, I would like to finish with a quote from Maya Angelou. "You may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them." The MTGS community has come together this year through adversity and has grown even stronger as a result. At the 1986 prize giving, Miss Davis, the then headmistress, stated that this school is most assuredly moving forward resolutely and eagerly to whatever lies ahead. I therefore hope that in serving all of you, I can continue along the same path. Thank you.
During the coronavirus pandemic, the rainbow has become a symbol of support for people wanting to show solidarity with NHS workers on the front line. The trend was started by a nurse who wanted to create a sign of hope for patients and staff in hospitals across the country. Many houses displayed rainbows in their windows to show unity and strength with each other during an unprecedented time. It allowed people to come together at the time when we were most separated, to celebrate something that we all hold dear to us, the NHS. This inspired us both to think about how the colours also symbolise something that is a big part of all of our lives, which is our school, a place where we have learnt, made friends and grown up.
When we think of red, we think of taking risks. This is something that Merchants girls typically find difficult, including Jess and myself. Although Merchants encourages you to excel in your strengths, it can be hard being in an environment surrounded by high-achieving girls, and you may feel that you are of less value than another person. Sometimes we may shy away from certain things due to the fear of failure, but in fact it is the failure that allows us to learn and grow. Some of you may see us stood up here today thinking that we have it all together, but in actual fact, I know personally for me, I have a tendency to compare myself to others, which has made me doubt my potential in the past. But upon reflection, we must remember that each of us have different strengths that allow us to be unique individuals. Remember that you will never reach your true potential living life in comfort and routine. All of us must learn to take risks in order to flourish. Orange makes us think of being open-hearted towards each other. We've always been told to be kind to one another, but this is a value that is especially important this year with the current situation. Throughout our school career, we must recognise the different hurdles that people may face, and that being kind and open-hearted can go a long way. You can carry out small acts of kindness every day in school, such as making sure everyone always feels included and always check up on your friends. As Blaise Pascal once said, kind words do not cost much, yet they accomplish much.
For us, the colour yellow represents youthfulness. One of our biggest pieces of advice is to definitely make the most of your time here at Merchants. Having literally grown up in the school, we can confidently say through our experience how quickly the time truly passes, and we both wish we were able to relive it. What we have learnt here at Merchants has not just been restricted to the classroom. Throughout our time here, we have learnt important values that will stick with us for the rest of our lives, such as compassion, respect, and kindness. Merchants has given us endless opportunities, most notably being the vast range of school trips. We have both been fortunate enough to travel to different parts of the world that we will forever be indebted to the school and our parents for. For me, I was fortunate enough to travel to Australia and Singapore on the sports tour in 2018. I will always remember spending my 15th birthday in Singapore, visiting the Gardens by the Bay, surrounded by my closest friends, something that I will always hold close to my heart.
Personally, one trip that has always been close to my heart was visiting the battlefields in 2017. This experience enabled me to reflect on the hardship and suffering that those in the front line had to endure, and allowed me to develop a greater respect for those who fought for our country.
Green reminds us of the generosity of spirit that the Merchants Tailors community has. Charity work has always been a prominent part of MTGS. Giving to charities has enabled us to recognise the fortunate position that we are in and shown us the importance of giving back to our community. Even though this year has been difficult mentally, socially and financially for many people, Merchants has continued to give to charities, supporting our local and wider community. We have enjoyed wearing pink to school in support of Breast Cancer Awareness Day, and the highlight of the Clatterbridge fundraising video had to be watching the Copleys' rendition of Karma Chameleon on their recorder and guitar. Giving, however, is not just about money, it is about time. The sense of community is deeply embedded in Merchant Tailors, as no matter how busy staff or students are, everybody always has time for one another.
Blue represents the idea of balance in our lives, which is the ability to be able to manage both your social life and schoolwork, something which I feel can often be quite challenging. It is something most of us will have found difficult these past few months, working from home, since there was no real separation of school and home life. We have all been resilient when adapting to homeschooling, and we've developed skills that we will find invaluable later on in our lives. We all have to find balance in life in order to take care of ourselves mentally and physically. I know that I found it challenging to juggle my A-levels along with my role in the head girl team. I was also finding time to enjoy myself and have a time off. Striking a balance is hard, but it is essential. Make sure that you always have a break, whether that be taking the dog for a walk or watching some Netflix, and remember, don't put too much pressure on yourself in life. When we think of purple, the word passion is brought to mind. Looking back in the last 6 years at MTGS has shown both of us the passion of our teachers in pushing us to strive to reach our fullest potential, showing us that anything is possible when you put your mind to it. My passion for science has allowed me to enhance my love for animals and their welfare, pushing me to apply for a course in veterinary science, something which I believed I was not capable of, but this school gave me the confidence and encouragement to recognise my potential.
My passion in politics stemmed from the enthusiasm that my teachers, Mrs. Main and Mr. Evans, bring to each lesson. In a constantly evolving subject, there have been many advances in women rising to power, such as Kamala Harris being the first female vice president to be elected. Additionally, the handling of the pandemic by female world leaders has shown young girls around the world that women do have the capability to be successful and strong leaders. For both of us, these colours represent the values that we have learnt here during our time at Merchant Taylors and the qualities that have shaped us into the people that we are today. These past 6 years have enabled us to form friendships to last a lifetime alongside some amazing memories, something that we will both never take for granted. We can hardly believe that we are in our last year of school, and as you will hear every year, we are not ready to leave the Merchants bubble. But although we are going to leave the school bubble, we will never leave Merchants. Being old girls, we will have a legacy which stays with us for life. Merchant Taylors gives you a confidence in your ability that enables you to strive for your goals. It is the foundations that we develop here every day that we come to school and the values that we have spoken about that will enable us to flourish in life no matter what path we take. Thank you.
Welcome. I am Master Merchant Taylor, and my name is Jane Hall. I'm sorry that I'm unable to be with you in person today, and I'm addressing you from my restoration studio in Hampshire. I would like to congratulate all the prize winners. Very well done to you all. It is a pleasure to sit before you and congratulate you on your achievements. When I was in school, it was not always felt that giving a girl a good education was particularly important. I'm glad to say that this has now changed, and here you are. For those of you who have met previous Master Merchant Taylors of the Merchant Taylors Company, you will notice a difference in the Master this year, as I am a woman. I am the First Lady Master in 700 years, the First Lady Master Merchant Taylors have had since it was founded in 1327. I joined the company as an apprentice, becoming a liveryman in 1997. I then had the honour of being elected to court in 2007. Court is the most senior level for members of the Merchant Tailors Company. It means that you have been an apprentice, or joined as a freeman, risen through the freedom, and then progressed to the livery, before being elected onto the court by those members already on court. In 2007, I was the first female member of court, but I was not the last, and each year we have more and more women joining the company. I look forward to welcoming more of them to the court in the future. As master, I and my 4 wardens are the core of the company. Together we oversee all committees and decisions taken through our year of governance. This year the mastership has presented its challenges, the biggest of course, the impact of the coronavirus on all our lives. The impact upon women in particular has been stark. Women are more likely to give up their work to look after children at home, to take on more caring roles within families and communities. The United Nations has noted that the impact of coronavirus could set back the fight for gender equality at least a decade. And over the past 4 years at least, we have seen how different things are for privileged white men than they are for women. I read an article by Jenny Russell in the Times recently which said, "Imagine being a woman elected to the highest office because she was an entertaining joker, lousy on the details, indifferent to facts, forgetful and untrustworthy, but likeable and to her supporters fun. Imagine her having the unknown number of children by an unknown number of men, some of whom she doesn't see, as well as numerous affairs. Imagine a black man or woman winning the presidency or prime ministership on the same basis. It is assumed that despite their evident failings, these men will have the capacity to rise to the occasion, a belief which trades on our folk memories of Prince Hal, the lazy, dissolute, ill-disciplined young man who transformed into a steely, charismatic, powerful King Henry V, the champion of Agincourt. Conversely, we could also consider the intense and critical scrutiny Elizabeth Warren and Kamala Harris have been under in America. Warren was seen as a swot, while Harris was criticised for not being serious enough. Russell said again, decades of research shows how women are judged more harshly than men in traditional leadership roles. Women are bossy while men are assertive. Women are arrogant while men are confident. And yet progress continues. This article in the Times shows that there is hope in that we are beginning to recognise the flaws our male political elite exhibit are indeed weaknesses. More women than ever are in the workforce. They are in positions of power and can affect real change for future young women. Having learnt of your successes over this year, academically, musically, in sports and extracurricular activities, I feel real excitement in what the future will hold for you. Because times are changing. Kamala Harris will be the first Vice President of the United States of America, as she said on Saturday the 7th of November, after it was confirmed that she was the Vice President-elect. While I may be the first woman in this office, I will not be the last, because every little girl watching tonight sees that this is a country of possibilities, and to the children of our country, regardless of your gender, our country has sent you a clear message. Dream with ambition, lead with conviction, and see yourselves in a way that others may not simply because they have never seen it before. Her words succinctly deliver how I feel. Take courage and have confidence to know you can succeed. Set your sights high in the knowledge that you have a good grounding in a great education. Never feel you do not have a voice or the right to speak out, because you do, and you absolutely should. I hope one day I shall meet some of you either at Merchant Tailors Hall or elsewhere. In the meantime, I hope that you and your families keep well and stay safe, and that you all have a very happy Christmas. Thank you.
Sleigh bells ring, are you listening? In the lane, snow is glistening, a beautiful sight. We're happy tonight. Walking in a winter wonderland. Gone away is the bluebird, here to stay is the new bird. He sings a love song as we go along, walking in a winter wonderland. In the meadow we can build a snowman, then pretend that he is Parson Brown. He'll say, "Are you married?" We'll say, "No, Ma'am, but you can do the job when you're in town." Later on we'll conspire as we dream by the fire, to face unafraid the plans that we made, walking in a winter wonderland. In the meadow we can build a snowman, and pretend that he's a circus clown. We'll have lots of fun with Mr. Snowman, until the other kitties knock him down. And instead the whole state goes on. Always gets a cha-la-la-la-la. We'll frolic and play the Eskimo way, walking in a winter
If you had told me a few years ago that I would be stood here today giving this speech, I never would have believed you. This sentiment, echoed by many head girls over the years, could not ring more true this year. If you had told me that I would be stood here in the Centenary Hall filming this speech as part of a virtual prize giving, I definitely would never have believed you. 2020 is Merchant Taylor's 400th year, yet no one could have ever predicted what it had in store for us. We are 3 months into this academic year, and although it began with some uncertainty and disruption, I believe it may turn out to be a pretty great year after all. Within the school community, it is clear to see that we are all becoming more resilient to change. Rather than being daunted by it, we are learning to embrace it, taking each new day as it comes. It can be scary, especially when the road ahead is unclear, yet I believe the strong sense of community we have developed here at MTGS has guided us and will continue to guide us through this time of such unknowns. Under normal circumstances, I would have had the opportunity to listen to and talk with all of you on a more personal level. Unfortunately, this year, this has not yet been possible, and so I thought I would take this opportunity right now to share what I believe to be the most important advice for each year group. Rapidly approaching the end of my 7th and final year here, I may have some words of wisdom. What would I have told myself when I was your age? Year 7 Melissa would have been worrying about friendships. I would tell her that although this may seem like the biggest thing in her world right now, I now realise at nearly 18 that friendships do come and go over the years, and I'm sure every girl listening to this today can agree. To quote the motivational speaker Rashid Ogunlaru, be genuinely interested in everyone you meet, and everyone you meet will be genuinely interested in you. Being the first one to smile and reach out really does go a long way. And here at Merchant, there will always be someone there to smile right back at you. To the year 8, you are just starting your 2nd year here, and you are no longer the babies of the school.
Year 8 Melissa was probably most concerned about her Spanish vocab test or achieving a standard in her athletics. As important as these things are, I would tell any Year 8, especially this year, to just make the most of being in school. Be thankful for the time that you have physically in the classroom, and take pleasure in spending time with friends again after such a long period of disruption. I would advise Year 9 Melissa that, although the work and revision techniques she develops now will prove invaluable later on, make the most of this year to get involved in activities outside of her timetable. Use your free time productively to maybe develop a new skill or make new friends, even if they are within your own year group. Throughout my time at Merchants, I've thoroughly enjoyed being involved in school sports. However, I rarely ventured to the music and drama departments. When I reflect, this is something I really regret. And so, I would encourage every Year 9 to step outside of their comfort zone and try something new. What's the worst that could happen? To the Year 10s, this is the first year you're studying subjects that you have been able to select. Make the most of this to develop your knowledge in those subjects that you really love and enjoy thinking in new ways about some really interesting ideas. I would also advise, and I cannot stress this enough, start the work now. As awful as that sounds, it really does make life so much easier in the long run. The more you have consolidated this year, the easier Year 11 will be. Little and often is definitely the way forward. To Year 11 Melissa, and to all Year 11s watching this today, I would say have confidence. With your GCSEs this summer, it is more important than ever that you really have confidence in your ability. The school, your friends, and your family are all backing you. It is important that you also back yourself. As well as this, you are approaching a big decision. Which A-levels do you want to study for the next 2 years? I'm sure some of you will have decided this long ago. However, for those of you who haven't, my advice would be study what you enjoy. When it came to picking my A-levels, I was really indecisive, and I even started 4 because I just couldn't choose. Ultimately, I decided to study the subjects I loved, and I reflect now, very thankful that I did so. A-levels are tough, but it certainly helps if you genuinely enjoy the subjects that you're studying. One of my massive takeaways from lower 6 was how amazing the group of girls in my year are. In sixth form, you're thrown together far more as a whole year group than ever before. Although this may seem daunting, I believe it is one of the best things to happen in your school career. I developed friendships with girls who, despite being in the same year group, I had never really got to know before. Now, I feel it's such a shame I only have a matter of months left with this amazing group of girls. And so my advice to all lower 6 would be make the effort to get to know the girls that you maybe don't know as well, because you could make some friends for life. Upper 6, as you could probably guess, I have no advice for us. Under normal circumstances, Year 13 is stressful enough, but we have dealt with a pandemic and the uncertainty of our exams, not to mention the large number of delayed driving tests or anticlimactic 18ths. I admire how well you have dealt with the past year, and how you have managed to keep each other's spirits up, even in the darkest of times. I honestly could not have asked for a better group of girls to spend the last few years with, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where we all end up. I've mentioned what a fantastic body of girls we have at this school. However, I feel this year more than ever, it is appropriate to pay tribute to the amazing teachers and support staff of Merchant Taylors Girls' School. In the most challenging of circumstances, they have dug deep, learnt new skills themselves, and adapted teaching styles and methods in a way almost unimaginable a year ago. From the PE department organising a whole virtual sports day, to Mr. Price delivering hour-long gravitational field lessons via Skype, the teachers at this school have stretched themselves to benefit us girls, and that is something we will always be grateful for. And of course, none of this would have been possible. Indeed, we would not be here in school today if it were not for the enormous efforts of the governors, the alumni, Mrs. Teo, and the senior staff. COVID has presented logistical, staffing, and health challenges on a scale never encountered before. I think you would all join me in expressing our deep gratitude for the many, many hours they have put in to enable us to return to school in a safe environment once again. It is fair to say that the 400th year of Merchant Taylors was certainly not what we had planned for. The school motto, Concordia Parvae Res Crescum, rings truer than ever in 2020. This year, we have gone back to the drawing board in terms of how we have learnt, taught, and supported one another. And moving into our 401st year, I believe, as a school community, We will continue to adapt and grow together in harmony. Finally, it is tradition in head girl speeches for them to reflect on their time at the school and how it has shaped them into the young women they are today. Not being a linguist myself, I didn't think my own words could do justice to the sentiments I wish to express as I look towards the final chapter of my time at this school. And so I thought I might borrow some words of gratitude from someone who's been in this position as well, a fictional valedictorian and someone who many girls will have grown up watching, Rory Gilmore. We never thought this day would come. We prayed for its quick delivery, crossed days off our calendars, counted hours, minutes, and seconds. And now that it's here, I'm sorry it is, because it means leaving friends who inspire me and teachers who've been my mentors. So many people who shaped my life and my fellow students' lives impermeably and forever. Thank you.
think now that we must apply downward pressure, further downward pressure on that upward curve by closing the schools. So I can announce today, and Gavin Williamson is making a statement now in the House of Commons, that after schools shut their gates from Friday afternoon, they will remain closed.